Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Paul. Hey, hopefully you guys made it to the meeting today and you were able to get the information that you needed for expectations, how to get logged in, make sure that you guys have signed up for the Remind app and and that you've gone and logged into Clever, and that way you can access Edmentum. And Edmentum and Plato, they are synonymous with each other. You'll kind of be going back and forth between the two. But yeah, the Edmentum is what you log into to take your Plato class. And what I'm going to be providing for you guys is a little mini lesson that kind of goes along with what you guys are going to be looking at in the Plato class itself for today. Remember, you can't get ahead in Plato, but you guys do need to accomplish each day's task and assignments, whatever they may be for that day. Everything's been kind of whittled down for this online summer school experience. So you are definitely doing much less than what would be traditionally being given in an Algebra 1 class. Um, yeah, you guys should be have some kind of idea of what's going on, and I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit more information, maybe some points that I thought they didn't cover as well, or maybe something that I could hopefully maybe cover a little bit more in depth for you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up. I have some notes that I've used from previous years in my Algebra 1 class. I'm just going to open them up. I'm going to go through them quickly. You guys can obviously pause the video whenever you need to and rewind and go back from there. Maybe this is just something that's good for you guys to just watch and learn from. If you guys want to write it down, you're more than welcome to. If you guys want to practice, then copy it and then you can try it on your own and then see if you are correct. But again, it's just some addition, something to supplement from what is being given through the Plato class and the Plato learning. So for today's lesson, you guys are going to be learning order of operation, just a little bit of review about that, and then you guys are going to get into solving 1 and 2 step equations. So as you guys can see on the screen here, we've got order of operations. Remember, it's PEMDAS, and understand that parentheses and brackets are the same thing. So if you guys are, see if I can, there we go. Move that out of the way. If you guys are see parentheses and brackets, you guys are going to be doing the same thing there with that. And let's see, let's go a little bigger. Remember, when it gets to multiplication or division, it's an or, and it moves from left to right. Addition or subtraction, you're going to do whatever comes up first as you move across the problem from left to right. All right. Many times the students' mistakes happen here and they don't do the order that they're supposed to. And if you don't follow the right order, you can end up with a different answer. So it's important that you guys follow that order correctly. And here we go. Example 1. What are you going to do first in this case? It's not subtraction. It's not multiplication, it's the exponents. And so if we start there, 3 squared is not 3 times 2, it's actually 3 times 3. So that is 9. So this is 25 minus 8 times 2 plus 9. All right, next step. Sorry if my handwriting's off a little bit. It's a little bit tricky with this screen. Next step we're going to do is not subtraction, but multiplication. So here we have 8 times 2. So this is the next step. So what do we get? 8 times 2 is 16. So 25 minus 16 plus 9. Then we do not do the addition first. And this is where it comes important that you guys remember you move left to right. So we are going to do subtraction first. So it's actually 25 minus 16. And what do we get when we have 25 minus 16? We get 9. And 9 plus 9 equals 18. Okay. Next one. We can do what's inside the parentheses first. So our first step here is going to be 7 plus 3. So that's 4 times 10 divided by, Well, now I'm going to do the exponent. Since I've finished what's in the parentheses, exponents are going to come next, and 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay. As we move left to right, what's left is multiplication and then division. So multiplication is going to come first. So the 4 times 10, that's going to give me 40. And 40 divided by 4 equals 10. All right, evaluating. Man, not as much room as I wanted there, so I'm going to bring these down a little bit here. When you evaluate, I would suggest that you guys plug in your numbers in parentheses and then follow your order of operations. So instead of the letter A, I'm going to replace it with the number 7, but I put that in parentheses. Everything else stays the same. Then I get to the B, and instead of B, I put in a 4. So what do we got? Divided by 4. Now that I have my numbers substituted in, I'm going to follow my order of operations. What do we got here? We have exponents. So what are we going to get with 2 to the third power? 2 to the third power is 2 times 2, which is 4, and 4 times 2, which is 8. So minus 8 divided by 4. Remember, anytime a number is next to a parentheses, it means multiplication. So this is multiplication. Then we have subtraction and then division. So what comes in first is multiplication, which is what we're going to do. So that's going to give us 21 minus 8 divided by 4. Then we have our division before subtraction. So 21 minus 2, and 21 minus 2 is 19. All right. Guys, so hopefully, are getting understanding here of our order of operations and also with our evaluating. I'm just going to plug these numbers in for you guys and then move on to the next screen. And then because we got some more stuff to cover. So 4 times, instead of the letter C, I put in a 2 in its place. Minus 2 times, instead of the letter D, I put a 5 in its place. Divided by, and then a 2 again. Okay. Follow your order of operations. We've got multiplication, 8 minus 10 divided by 2. Okay. Division before subtraction. So that's going to be 5. 8 minus 5 equals 3. I was able to fit it in. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right. Just some key things to touch upon. Anytime you guys are using multiplication or division, remember your signs. Your signs, whether it's multiplication or division, if it's a positive times a positive, we know it's a positive. If it is a positive times a negative, it's going to be a negative. A negative times a positive is a negative, and a negative times a negative is a positive. All right. The way that I end up just thinking about this is if it's an even number of negative signs, then my answer is positive. Okay. So you can just count up the number of negative signs. If there's an odd number, your answer is negative. If there's an even number, your answer is positive. So again, this goes both for multiplication and division. I'm not going to show you guys both of them because it's the same thing. Okay, so just remember your signs. When is the answer positive? When is it negative? So here for the first one, we have a negative and a negative. That's an even number. And notice my answer is positive. Here we have a positive times a negative. Okay, positive times a negative. Oh, that's an odd number, which means that my answer is going to be negative. A negative times a positive means it's a negative. A negative times a negative, that's a positive. It's an even number of negative signs, positive answer. And a negative times a positive is a negative. And if you guys don't remember, when you multiply fractions, remember you multiply straight across. So it's numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. You do not need to have common denominators when multiplying fractions. They are the easiest way to deal with fractions is by multiplying them. Super simple. Just multiply straight across like I showed in the arrows. That's how you get 6 over 12. And then we always reduce our answers. So get in the habit of reducing your fractions there. If you have a whole number times a fraction like number 2 here, you take it and put it over 1, and then you can multiply straight across. 5 times negative 2 gives me the negative 10. 1 times 3 gives me the 3. All right, distributive property. Remember, it is taking what's outside of the parentheses and multiplying it by everything inside of the parentheses. So whether the number comes in front of the parentheses, like number 1, and you take it, and I draw these arrows in because I still do it to this day, just because it helps me remember, okay, take the 2, multiply it times the 5x. Take the 2, multiply times the 3. Okay. So I'm drawing the arrows to help me remember that, make sure that I didn't miss a number or a term, because sometimes there's 3, 4, 5 terms inside of a parentheses, right? And if a monomial or a single term comes after the binomial, such as this, you still multiply by everything inside the parentheses. It does not matter which one you multiply first, you're still going to get the same answer. Right? So whether use the 2 or the -2 or take the 1/3 times the 3b, still get the same answer. Remember, if you have a negative sign and there's no number there, that is a shy guy. And if your teacher never called it that, I call it a shy guy. Hey, it's meant to be there, but you don't know it because it's so shy, so it doesn't show itself. But it's a -1. So you're taking a -1 and you're multiplying it times 6x. A -1 and you're multiplying it times 4. And that's how we come up with our final answer here. So 3 times 4m, 12m. 3 times -7, -21. -1 times 5q, -1 times -6, +6. All right, and here, this is an example of combining like terms. So anytime you have the same variable to the same power, w squared and w squared, you can combine them together. This is like saying a quarter and -2/4 or something like that. They are the same terms, so we can combine them together. Okay, I owe 2/4 and I have a quarter. Oh, that means I still owe a quarter. Right, so that is that. All right, so that was part 1 of what you guys are going to be seeing in your lesson for today.